Been there, done that, know what's next. Life's a journey, never complex. A lifelong student, educators call. Guiding future, standing tall. Conscious parenting, full hat on tight. Drove through decades, walked away for rights. From the motion pictures to the cosmic light. Contactee's journey, universal sight. Attempting to put the human back in humanity. Mic check, 1, 2, hear the clarity. Fascinated by the human experience. Sharing stories, breaking the silence. Human experience, hang out, come along. Kids, health, synaptic circle, singing our song. Random vlogs, life stories to tell. Each journey a beacon, wishing well. We all have incredible tales to share. Healing, activation, spreading care. Light the way, find the others. What's your mission, sisters and brothers? Attempting to put the human back in humanity. Mic check, 1, 2, hear the clarity. Fascinated by the human experience. Sharing stories, breaking the silence. Rise, humanity, unity we seek. Community sharing, synaptic circle unique. Be the solution with someone today. Assist in the rise, light the way. May the song lift whoever comes across, and may you do the same, no matter the cost. Spread the light, ignite the flame. In unity we rise, forever reclaim. Attempting to put the human back in humanity. Mic check, 1, 2, hear the clarity. Fascinated by the human experience. Sharing stories, breaking the silence.
Good evening. Happy Sunday. Howdy and hello from Los Angeles. Hello, I'm Heidi Pop. This is episode 33 of the High Vibe Human Experience Hangout. And I'm hanging out again. Welcome back to my special friend and guest, Mr. Michael Kopf, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I am so excited to be back.
Welcome. We've been chatting about this for a very long time, Michael, haven't we? Our little messenger, like, we got to talk about this movie and this movie and this show and talk about this. And we both are still, well, I have a history, but you are still active in entertainment. You work at a theater, local theater. You're still involved and stuff. But we have a love of the arts, both TV, film, stage, all of it. And we're going to talk disclosure in entertainment in La La Land. And everywhere. So, hello, Jane. Hi, Garrel. Hello, moderators. Hi, Clay. What's shaking bacon? Blazer was first in the house. Joe Fox. Are you not at work, Joe? Should I be quiet? Can I get really loud? He's usually at work. And I'm like, hi, Joe. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm curious your thoughts in the chat of the programs we bring up, but also perhaps you know a few that we could talk about. So, yeah. Hi, Aaron Moriarty. Truth Quest in the house. What's shaking bacon? I've said that a couple times. So you can tell I was at a food buffet this morning. We're at a Mexican buffet. It's all things
all
food
good
today.
On my end.
Well, where do we begin? I wanted to first ask you if you don't mind disclosing this information. I think I'm a little older than you, but what decade are we starting in for your... How old are you, Michael?
Well, actually, surprisingly, I am 46.
You're a baby. No, I'm just kidding. But we're still 70s babies. Not that far apart. That's not that far apart at all. We're both born in the 70s. Yeah. So I think we kind of followed the same trail of films and stuff from what I'm gathering. So this could be really fun. Okay. Hi, Joe. You're free. Yay. Well, cool. Well, how do we start this? What is the furthest back in your childhood you can go to? Like one of those films. And that's why in our thumbnail, I had like that bed inside a portal, with plasma and galactic scenery, because movies literally transported me. I rode those movies out hard after I'd watch them, envisioning them with me in it. And like, it would take me places. What was one of your first like captivating movies from childhood?
I would say one of the first movies I saw would be Star Wars.
Okay. Well, that's
because
disclosure right there. Yeah.
Star
Go ahead.
Wars and Indiana Jones, because those were just coming out.
So you were fresh meat. Yes, I remember I was the first waiver for those too. What did you like most about those? Were you like aware of like I wonder if this is true, or did you ever think like that as a child, or did you just think it was fantasy?
Actually, Star Wars was one of the movies that I kind of modeled my life after. I was like, I wanted to be the Jedi. I resonated with that, and I would be like, I would watch people get angry, and I'm like, do you realize this doesn't serve you? And I started realizing I was thinking like a Jedi. And I was like, people would try to get me angry, and it would be like really hard because I was like, yeah, this emotion doesn't serve. And so I would bury it almost and try to be like, nope, there is no anger here. And it would take a long time before I would get angry.
Oh, so you buried it, or would you Obi-Wan where you're like, "No, mother, I shall not have my vegetables." Hi,
I, I,
Matthew.
I feel like it was a mix of both, of burying it and just standing my grounds. And one of the funny stories was growing up with two sisters. My parents went out one night and were like, make sure he eats. And I didn't like what was made. And so if I didn't like it, I didn't eat it.
Mm.
And my sisters, because they were told he cannot leave the table until he eats, they decided to tie me to the chair to make
Oh,
sure I would eat. And my parents came home and were like, untie your brother right now. He didn't
oh,
eat, so
jeez.
just go to bed. And I was like, I'm fine with that.
Aw. Oh, well, then I guess that part didn't go very well, but Star Wars did. Which do you like better? Which of the action adventure? That's not a really good analogy, but Indiana Jones, Star Wars, very different yet kind of similar. What did you have something you gravitated more towards, one or the other, or were they pretty equally awesome? Because they
Well,
are.
Star Wars takes place in space, so I was like enthralled with, life out there. How cool would that be?
Mm-hmm.
And Indiana Jones was history here and doing archaeology here and trying to answer questions here on the planet. So I was like, that was really cool too.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say probably because one of my first TV shows my sister introduced me to,
Mm-hmm.
actually two. You're gonna find this very interesting because
Uh-huh.
imagining me as little, like elementary school age,
Mm-hmm.
V and Battlestar Galactica.
I was watching V when I was little. Yeah. So you were going the galactic route pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Man,
I'm like,
that was a good
and
one.
for some
Mhm.
reason, the thought of people peeling their skin off and showing they were reptile did not freak me out.
Agreed. That was one of those shows I was like, I think that could happen. As I said with everything. Even though I had already known Hollywood, there was a veil there and it's make believe and magic and special effects. I could get transported in the show. I'm like, oh yeah, this happens.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. One of my OGs though, have you ever heard of this? And this is year before you were born, I think, but um it was been around forever, but Dot and the Kangaroo. Did you ever see that? It was it was a live action so it was a cartoon within real imageries and it took place in Australia and it's based off an 1899 book, but that movie hypnotized the hell out of me as a child in a good way. In a good way. I think it starts to tell the story of it really made me just connect with nature and animals more than people. Like it's a beautiful story, but the soundtrack is haunting and that movie changed everything. I had to do a QHHT. I was even one of my questions. I'm like, what is my obsession with Australia? I'm thinking past lives and like something was going
Right.
down. It's like Dot and the kangaroo. I'm like, oh yeah. I was
No,
obsessed. It's all about Australia. It's really
that
special
one
though.
doesn't ring a bell, but I will say I do have knowledge from my parents mentioning it as Captain Kangaroo,
Okay, yes, yes.
but Dot and the Kangaroo, no. But
It's really
Crocodile
special.
Dundee and
Mhm.
Rescuers Down Under, I did. And Blazers
Okay.
mentioning Secret of Nim, I
Oh,
loved that.
yes. Yes. That's a really sweet one too. Shoot, I hope I should have been documenting this. I'm going to plow it back through and write the list so I can share it. And then there's some remembering Captain Kangaroo. Yep, that was a goodie. That was like the after school special or, the Mr. Rogersy kind of thing. Any new parents, I'm going to start guiding them to Dot and the Kangaroo. It's magical. Although I do have to say the one thing I wanted to share because we're doing disclosury things too. Dot and the Kangaroo. This little girl gets lost. She runs into Outback chasing a bunny. And it's a cartoon that goes into real live action woods and stuff, the Outback, which was gorgeous. But she runs into a kangaroo and she doesn't understand it. So the kangaroo gives her wild berries. So then all of a sudden, she can understand all the animals. I'm like, okay, taking wild berries from an animal, taking candy from strangers. I don't know if it's very Alice in Wonderland, though. But I wonder if that
That
was the
sounds like
little thing.
yeah, that sounds
Hmm.
like John Carter when they're like
Hmm.
giving him the
Hmm.
drink and all of a sudden he understands everything they're saying.
Yep. Clay, you brought up my favorite childhood television show, and I'm going to try to recreate it and manifest it. Electric Company. Did you remember Electric Company?
I
It's like the
heard of
variety
it.
kids show. Oh, so
Yeah.
good. 3, 2, 1
But
Contact, The Bloodhound Gang. Yeah, so
so
good.
my version of variety show of
Uh-huh.
Kids Incorporated.
The best.
I
I would
loved
love to
that.
do that again. Yes, let's do it, Michael. I think that's the kind of kid shows I want there. And I do not want any network attachment. It's brand new, independent. Wouldn't that be awesome though? I
That
loved Kids
was. I
Incorporated.
mean, it was like people were singing songs, but at the same time, they were going through real life scenarios and like sharing, and then they would just be like, "Hey, we just figured this out. Let's jam."
Yeah. Sounds jam is the perfect word. And Electric Company I love because it was felt like you're watching comedy skits. You didn't know you're learning something. There were little sketches like of sketch comedy, but and with adults. And I was rolling on the floor. And sure enough, I went into improv and auditioned for Mad TV and stuff. So I don't know if that had a correlation, but oh, I love delivering information that way and funny little skits and everything. Did you see Aaron here? I remember Aaron, you shared this on a show. I got to preview Willow at Lucas Ranch. George was there. I was working for Tonka on the toy line for Willow. That's so cool. I love that,
That
Aaron.
is cool, man.
That is so cool.
I would love to have that experience.
Isn't that is that would be amazing. We're so close. I mean, maybe everyone will get the golden ticket. Maybe once arrests happen, the land will become part of everybody else.
And I gotta admit, with Willow,
Uh-huh.
the Disney Plus actually did a good remake, good
Mhm.
follow up to it. I don't
Really?
know if you saw that,
Uh-uh. I
but
didn't.
it
I kinda
showed.
get mad at reboots, but I could
It
give it a
wasn't a
try.
reboot. It
It's the
was
same thing, just done newer?
no, it was they were saying like maybe 10 years after the fact of the movie and said this is what's now happening, and they had kids that were teenagers
Oh,
and went on quests to try and find, and so it was like I was actually impressed because I was thinking, how dare you remake Willow? But it wasn't a remake.
alright. Well, then
It's like
maybe
a
I'll check
part
it out.
two.
Yeah. I can get
The
a little
only upsetting
snobby.
thing is it's on Disney Plus.
know, that's like we do have that. I am a streamer. Yeah, I can't be in denial, by the way, with this whole program. And I'm a mom, and I know people have seen my memes and my shares and my stories. Limit your screen time with your children. And yes, we have limits. But I was raised on TV. My mom was raised on TV, and my kids watch TV. They can't watch TV with me all the time. It's one of my daughter's show. I walk in, I'm like, that's an inverted cross. This is symbol, blah, 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 all this stuff. She's like, I know all these things now. I'm just being entertained. I'm like, all right, be entertained. Just know that you're getting hypnotized. She's like, I'm not hypnotized because I can hear you in my head and you're ruining it. Yes.
Well, but there's a difference between what we were raised with. I mean, we saw a lot of violence in cartoons and shows, but we understood this is entertainment. This isn't like modeling your life after this. You're not going to shoot someone and they're going to get right back up. That wasn't our generation. Our generation was like, okay, the good guys won, the bad guys fell. Cool.
Yeah.
We
What
didn't
side are you
feel the
on?
need.
You choose your side. Yeah.
Yeah, and then nowadays it's like I was watching a show and I was like, why is this even on this? And what is this about? And why? What? I am so lost. And I'm like, these are kid shows. And I'm like,
I know.
what the world?
But I wonder if our parents said that too with ours. Because it's like you're playing rock and roll music. Meh. And then, I'm just starting to see the generational thoughts behind a lot of things. So
I know.
I grace them. No, I'm like, hey, if I did the roots and foundation right with my kids, they're going to be fine. But screens are a lot faster and they need more stimulation. That is a big change from you and I. Because mine are, even though they're dark crystal, they can't stand dark crystal puppets. And I'm like, really? I thought more than anything, you'd be like, this is so not real. They look like puppets.
Hey,
but my kids
the
are scared of dark
Skeksis
crystal.
are freaky.
They're freaky. Yeah, they're totally freaky. You mentioned
I
before
was
too.
I was gonna say I'm totally fine with all the others, but the Skeksis, no.
Yeah. Gelflies were a little like I had a friend I worked with once and I didn't know what she reminded me of forever. And then one day I just yelled out, a Gelfling, you're a Gelfling. Like, that's who you are. And she's like, what? I can't go by it though. I made a quick little note and I see you in the chat there. But you mentioned earlier, and this is a perfect segue, about teens going on adventures, like together, like falling into these adventures. We have to talk about the numerous amazing teen shows. Of course, Goonies being a huge one. I have huge Goonies stories from walking the set and being a little bit of that. But just those treasure map kind of like teen group, Flight of the Navigator, The Last Starfighter, that was a big deal. Well, we'll talk about those, but Flight of the Navigator is another big one where the teens just fall into these adventures, and then there really is a lot of disclosure.
Well,
I mean, Goonies
you
was
kinda
fun,
missed
but
one.
what?
Explorers.
Oh gosh, yes. Duh.
They were kids.
I knew it. They were totally little kids. That was very much like Flight of the Navigator, right?
Yeah,
I'm saying oh duh, but I don't remember it very well.
They like something crashed and they just were out exploring in the woods, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, there's this craft here and adventure abound.
Isn't that cool? But what about The Last Starfighter? So it's this kid won a video game, but it was really a simulation. They were checking to see who'd be really good at this. And then he got recruited. I mean, we've heard that a million times in whistleblower testimonies and things like that happening now. And this was what, the 80s, early 80s? So they're obviously, that's when you have to say, is this a memory implant that some whistleblowers telling me from a movie, or did this really happen to them? It's pretty crazy because you never know.
I know. And it was, and one of the things that I find interesting about like the movies and TV shows and cartoons, again, of our age, was the violence was made to be cheesy. So we would be like, yeah, this was just goofy. There was no like ooh ah to it or gore effect or anything.
Right.
And when people were like trapped in caves or something, there was not the okay, we're gonna go have two walk off and go do, whatever over here while everybody else is over here doing that. There was none of that. And today it's like you see going into a cave, you're like, all right, which ones are gonna go off and do the inappropriate stuff and get in trouble, and which ones are gonna try to sit. It's like, why did they even put that in there? It's like, why? It just doesn't. I don't understand. It's like we went from 180 to instead of violence, it's everything else on the board that should never be on a show is now in a show.
I know. And then you see the winners, award winners are usually the simplest ones, right? The simple,
Yeah.
simple character, simple scene, simple plot. Joe Fox, I see you there. How do we send stars? Where's the link? Okay, here's my little midstream advert. I'm new to this thing, Joe. There's something on Facebook. I think you have to look for the little star emblem under the post, but not in the comments. And you click on that. But it's like a tip thing, so don't worry about it. I just added it on there because I was eligible. um, I'll screenshot and show you next time. Aaron says, when I
Yeah.
was a kid, there were 3 different. Oh, do you do stars? Do you do
Oh,
stars,
no, but
Michael?
I'm aware of the stars and I don't promote them or anything because I'm like, I'm so low key on this show. I'm like,
I know. I
I'm
was like,
more interested in the content getting out than everybody
yeah, yeah.
buying stars or I mean,
I
I'd
know.
appreciate it, but I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, you have to get a star."
I know. It looks a little silly, and I'm like, I just added it. Screw it. Nobody knows how to use it anyway. There is a ton of symbolism in the last Starfighter logo. In the logo and just the whole thing. There's are you seeing? Oh yeah. Conditioning. Hi Michael Anthony, how are you? Red Blue Sword. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So they're still on turning conspiracies into the shows. Yep.
And
Yep.
one thing that people
Mhm.
don't realize with The Last Starfighter
Mhm.
being this movie is from the 80s,
Mhm.
it introduced us to cloning before
Mhm.
cloning was a thing.
It's another little nugget for people
'Cause
to chew on. Yes.
and I loved how they even made it to where they said the clone is a robotic copy of you that only has your memories up to this point.
Mhm.
So it was
Mhm.
like you couldn't ask it about anything after the day was created because it'd have no idea. But before it was like a perfect copy. And that
Mhm.
was the downfall to it when people started being like, we talked about this yesterday. And he's like, does not compute. It's like, what? And figured out it's not him.
Oh, walk-in, someone said, yes. And the Deadpool violence. I know Ryan. Ryan was a sweet fella. Um, walk-ins. Oh, yeah. I get
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Um, you were just saying something and I thought of another one, but now I forgot. However, I do have another pivot we could take. Oh, beta unit. I mean, there's so many juicy ones here. So let me swing it into back to my little hippie woo thing because there's that Dot and Kangaroo was very natural, spiritual connection, telepathy with animals, that kind of thing. But then there was this boy when I got hormonal. This movie with this boy, I was hormonal. My first movie crush, other than Lee Phoenix from Parenthood when he was Leaf, now Joaquin. Um, there was this movie, The Boy Who Could Fly. Do you remember that movie at
Yes.
all? Oh,
I loved
sweetest.
that movie.
I was that movie just changed everything in me, and I rewrote that movie so many times in my head with me in it. But when you think about it, they're introducing these innate psychic abilities, these skills that because they never said it was a robot or someone, an alien. It was the
No.
neighbor that moved in that could fly, and he was the loner. He never fit in with anybody, but she saw something in him. He was at a different vibration, and it was just so special. And what I love the most about that movie, it was an actual happy ending. It was like the town being like, "Oh, yay," instead of like, "Shoot it down and do science experiments on it." It was like it's a sweet young love story for anybody. More 80s love. The 80s rocked.
And
What they
I
just
loved how
did.
they introduced the flying part by him just floating up to the window. It was like not like Superman, like flying up and stopping and being like, I'm not being creepy. It's just floats up, kind of doing the Romeo and Juliet thing, and just says,
Yeah.
do you want to go for a ride?
Isn't that the sweetest thing? Sweet soundtrack, gentle dialogue. I mean, there's bullies, there's this stuff you find in high school, but I just thought it was sweet and it felt good, and that's why I love it. And Aaron loved that too. Yeah. It's hard to
Yeah.
find some of these peeps that knew some of these. I knew you would know it though. Um, that's really my
And
stepmother's an alien. Uh-huh. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and he fit the profile of the Jedi. He never got
Yes.
angry, and he just, if
Yes.
somebody pushed him down, he just got up and walked away and was like, no point.
Yes. Right? He kept his maintained, you'd think he was a robot or something, but he maintained this frequency. It was really
Yeah.
special.
He
Yeah, you
like
guys are saying a
mastered
lot of good
Zen.
ones there. Yes, Master Zen, and she was mesmerized by that, but it made her question, the people who she chose to be around. She chose a simple frequency. Hi, Flix Love. It's good to see you again. You guys have some great ones in here. I'm trying to throw them all up I best can. All the Brat Pack movies from the 80s were good, in my opinion. Totally.
Oh
And I'm
yeah.
a John Hughes gal, I'm a Chicago gal, so that John Hughes stuff. But
Adventures in
when we were
babysitting.
Oh yeah, that was another goodie. Um, no, there was something that was first CGI. Flight of the Navigator. We talked about that. That was. Did you know that it says that was the first to use CGI effects? I don't think that was the first movie ever, maybe, but according to AI Google,
That's
where
interesting
most teachers
because
get their information. Mhm.
I'm like trying to look back at it and go, I don't even know if I could tell you what scenes were CGI.
Right? They were saying that's when they started messing with it, as if anyone in the chat knows anything different there, or if you remember Flight of the Navigator with any CGI scenes.
In
Yeah,
Flight of the
apparently
Navigator,
that
that's
was
the
a
one where
fact.
he's flying like this, right? Where he's
Right.
got his arms up.
Yes, I don't think it was wasn't Starfighter or Navigator. Wasn't that when he had the loss of time? Or that was SSP stuff. They both really are SSP kind of stuff. Like he
Yeah.
goes away. Which one is okay? It has to be Flight of the Navigator, where he's running to get his brother and he falls and he gets hits his head, and when he wakes up, it's like 8 years later. Everyone else is older but him. Was that Flight of the Navigator? So I'm so prepared, everybody.
I'm not sure that's Flight of the Navigator because I remember Flight of the
No.
Navigator, he was in the hospital trying to get out, but I don't remember. Actually, it might be that he was in a coma and came
It might have
out
been that
and
one. Yeah.
they
So
like
there
snuck him out, and next thing you know, he's like somehow makes friends with the ship.
okay. I could have yeah, that now I have to rewatch that one too. Yeah. I thought I was all prepared for it's the food buffet. I have in my head though, Ethan Hawke and another Phoenix brother. Rest in peace, River.
River Phoenix.
Explorers. Remember Explorers? And
Yeah.
that was pretty SSP-ish because they're getting downloads of information while they dream. And then they're writing out what they're getting these downloads, and it turns out to be blueprints to a spaceship. Sound
And they end
familiar?
up
Any
in
whistleblower?
space
Mm-hmm.
dealing with the aliens.
Mm-hmm. I think that would have been more CGI. That was 85. That was pretty cool. You could see this theme then in the mid 80s. Like young boys and getting out there, the Jedis, the starships,
Well,
yeah,
actually,
those
though, it
programs were
wasn't.
busy. Mhm.
That's the misnomer, though. But it's everyone thinks it's all about the boys in the '80s, but there was women as well. The girls were being like pushing the guys around and being like, no, you're not going without me. Like, I mean, look at Goonies. I
Oh,
mean,
yes.
the
Oh,
girls in
yeah.
there were like pretty much mocking the guys and like telling them what's what. And They were like, yes, ma'am.
True. True. You're right. Goonies was the best. I have to share my Goonies stories. But thanks, Clay. He looked it out. 73 was Westworld, the first feature film to use CGI in a storyline with the 2D gunslinger robot vision. Thank you. I knew someone would get that there. Okay. Okay. Oh, Blazer. That's familiar. That's a song. Yes, that's just a song. Blazer keeps me on my toes here.
Yeah.
Right? You have fun with
Tron.
the
That was
Tron. Where's
uh,
Tron? Oh, yeah. Another obsessed childhood one. Good one. Okay, here's
I
another
know,
one.
and
I think
that
I'm
one
behind.
again, the it is a guy who's the hero, but he needs the help of the woman to survive. She keeps him from getting caught so many times.
Oh, in Tron. You're talking about Tron. The new
Right.
one's not out yet, right? They just finished that. Our dear friends just did costume on that wardrobe.
Oh, they did a
Canada, they
third
went.
one?
So the other one, yeah, they just wrapped August, July or
Oh,
August, I think.
wow.
Yep. And yeah, he didn't do the last one, but he did this one. And then he's finishing the new Superman one. He's doing wardrobe on there. So we still have one foot in all that stuff. Ooh, no interest could remember. Oh, Flicks didn't remember. Now we're giving you a download, Flicks, of all this. Tron was a huge one. Huge, huge one. However, the second one didn't do anything for me, Clay. Did you like the second one? Did you see the second one, Michael?
I didn't. Actually, I think it is one of the most disclosure-oriented movies around and has so much imagery in it. I was in awe of it. I can't believe Hollywood actually put it out.
Really? With Tron too? I
Yeah.
have to see that then. I think I was just like, man, because again, another another one of my favorite childhood dreamy. Was a very dreamy
So
child. Uh-huh.
again, this one takes place years later,
Okay.
and it's his son who remembers going to the arcade and doesn't go anymore. And he's like the head of the company, but doesn't want to do anything with it because he's upset that his dad left and disappeared. And he gets brought into Tron. And yeah, if you haven't seen it, oh my god, you've got to see that.
Yeah, what did
It'll
I
blow
do?
your mind what's in that movie.
Okay. I got to start reading the summaries or not skipping by, not filling my time with reality TV. Yes. They're getting some good ones. What's some that you have? What we skipped over to me, there's this chunk of 80s movies that changed my life. And of course, my children have no interest in them whatsoever. But it's Labyrinth, Dark
Yeah.
Crystal, Neverending Story, E.T.
All
It's
of the
like
never ending stories. There was
well,
3 of them.
well, the first OG is my jam. I mean,
Oh
every
yeah.
scene catapults me back there. But Labyrinth is when I first said, I need my hair to look like that. I was obsessed with her dress at the end and just that whole movie. I thought that would be something fun to recreate too.
And
Each of them
Falcor.
did something magical for me.
Yeah, and
I had a lot of escapism that age.
I
Go
wanted
ahead.
Falcor. I wanted a
Oh
Falcor.
yeah. 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 If my
A
son
flying
wasn't,
dog.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
best of everything.
I made my
And
son it too. He was naked on our big stuffed puppy. And that was his Halloween costume. Go ahead.
oh, and I was gonna say my all time favorite scene from that movie, ironically, with all the scenes, the one that I was like made me tingle and everything was when at the end when the bullies are going to pick on him and Falcor comes in and just starts dive bombing and chasing them, and they're like running into fences, running into the trash cans, and he's just growling out, and it's like I'm even getting like tingles thinking about this scene. And I mean, that was like to me, that was like the moment I was like, oh, I wish for everybody who ever was bullied, they had a Falcor in
I
their
know.
corner.
Yeah. that was a huge one. Even just the little boy when he locked himself up in that school attic kind of space. But then the storm came and I knew he was alone and in the dark and in
Yeah.
the storm, I was panicking. I was scared for him and I got it. I'm like, yeah, escape in a book. Like it was like a scary what was going on in real life, but even the book got a little scary for him to read. It was still an escapism from being stuck in school overnight.
Yeah.
I thought that
But
was
what
trippy.
Yeah, and what I thought was interesting is I thought he called the storm because he had the medallion that matched the book, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
"Oh, he's engaging the portal,"
Oof. You picked
and I was
that was
like
good. Yeah.
and I started to think, "Oh my god, Atreyu is Sebastian,"
Mm.
and I was like,
Atreyu. It's yeah, it was pretty cool. I almost named my
"Yeah,
son Atreyu or Anakin. I had all these names. Still kept it in the family, but um
yeah."
gosh, or
But
just
you
the
had said,
monologue at the end. Sorry?
yeah. Oh, you had asked me 80 movies.
Yeah.
I have one for you. I wonder if you actually saw because it actually contains a lot of actors from the golden age of Hollywood,
Okay.
but it was a disclosure movie and
Oh, what is
in an
that?
interesting way.
Okay.
Cocoon,
Oh gosh. Yes. Such a good
batteries
movie.
not included.
Yep. Yep, yep. I
Uh,
tried to get my kids on that one this summer. They didn't want it.
yeah,
That was
Starman.
really good. Starman! Oh, how did I forget that? That was my other, like, love crush movie. That was my sister and my escapism movie during, if my parents were fighting or something. No,
Yeah.
Starman was genius, people. Who has seen Starman in the chat? I think I called that
Oh,
out once. Yes, you. I love that movie. Total disclosure movie. Oh, you got some good ones. I knew you'd come up with more than I had. Yeah, batteries not included was awesome. Starman, yes. Blazer got
I'm
that
wishing I
one.
had put years by some of these because I only wrote down the titles.
Oh, that's fine. Starman, I think was a 81. I was little
I
because
think
I'd
that
be like,
was in the
how in the hell
80s.
did I watch that? Oh, hi from Chile. Hello. Hello. Buenas noches. Um, yes, some of them I've seen them. What's
But
The Lathe of Heaven was a good movie on PBS. The Lathe of Heaven. Um, okay, so that thank you, Aaron. I'm not sure that one. What's if anyone knows this one?
I'm
Well,
not
the
sure on
80s
that
that
one.
for me was so I was born in 74. So 80s, that took me 6 and up, but it was a really good. I think it was a difficult time for my family, but I wouldn't have known it because I was always escaping in the films. That also was when my experiences started happening in Pacific Northwest. So I really, tapped into that nature thing and communing with the woods and the trees are talking and the animals talk. And I get it now, Dot and the kangaroo. But I see the shift of what I would watch based on my experiences. Now, what happened usually was what I'd watch was after those experiences. So I don't ever conflict the two. I'm never like, well, what happened to me in my bed was really just from the movie, Last Starfighter or something like that. I'm like, no, I
Yeah.
didn't really catch those till after the fact. So,
I
um,
actually was looking up 80s cartoons to see, for DVD, like, oh, which ones, did I watch and, which, what's what and memories. And I came across one. I nearly fell on the floor when I saw this title because I was like, no way this really exists. And I actually bought it and watched it. It
what is it?
was United States Space Command. It
Oh,
was a 1980s cartoon,
really?
and
Where?
it's
Oh,
about the US Space Command, and they're operating in space. And
oh,
I was
wow.
like, how did I ever miss this show? Where was this show?
Yeah, that sounds like a good one. Mid 80s, you think, or early?
I'm not sure, but
Yeah, I'd be
I mean,
curious.
it
Yeah.
and the animation style of it totally fits the 80s. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like it really is like 2D looking with images moving, which is the best way to describe the 80s.
Mm-hmm. That's the best describe. And even just the cartoon days, I loved my GI Joe. I was a GI Joe gal. But this
Oh
is
yeah.
when you start, and the military involved, like Transformers. I was a big Transformer girl, all the way through. And then when I had kids, I tried to get them on that. I loved I mean, talk about, I hate it now. And someone's bringing up Terminator, the bots coming in, but there's something about the Transformers. Optimus Prime. I had a crush on him. Yeah, it was a great cartoon. But yeah, with the Terminator ones, what's so funny was the second one. I actually won a contest for the Chicago Tribune for that second Terminator movie. I'm trying to remember. There were two movies. There was one with Jodie Foster, and it was like a really sweet movie with a little boy. We got a private viewing of that. And then we went back to the Chicago Tribune offices and sat at someone's professional journaled computer. And we wrote a summary on it. It was a movie review. And then they went it down to the finalists. And we did that. And then we did one more final, which was our own. And I did a summary of Terminator 2. And it was pretty amazeballs. But yeah, I made it to the top. I didn't make the top 3, but it was still really cool. Anyway. That's my side note story. It wasn't even one of the stories I was going to share before, but you triggered a memory. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Dune.
I
Yeah,
loved
Dune. I
Terminator
was
movies.
totally into Dune.
Yes. I was scared of Dune. Maybe it was the sound. My mom, I think, would say, this isn't for you. And she said everything was. So I didn't watch Dune 84 until not long ago. Believe it or not. Even though,
Yeah.
what was what's Harrison Ford? What am I thinking of? Running, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Bleh, bleh.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. That I saw too. I was a little creeped out by that. But however, when the girl found out that she was a robot, I'm forgetting all the names. So sorry. This is awful. I wept. Like, I had an emotional reaction. I was like, oh my God. And then that really happens.
Yeah.
Watch the intro
But
for Rainbow Bright. Oh yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, hon.
Funny story about cartoons was my childhood, my cartoons that I remember watching the most: Voltron, He-Man, She-Ra, Rainbow Bright. Oh, because I had sisters, so I had to, it was like we're all watching it. But I remember getting up Saturday mornings, Inspector Gadget,
Inspector Gadget
which,
was
I mean,
good.
when you look at that today, it's like we were introduced to the Bionic Man in the 80s, and I was like,
Yeah.
pretty much that's Inspector Gadget, just more put together.
Yes. So clever. Such a clever show. Wonder Woman was obsessed. The Hulk, another
Yeah.
crush. But you could see the science mixing with reality. And then with Wonder Woman, just another planet, another whole set of beings. Pretty,
I,
pretty awesome. It's
yeah,
everywhere.
I will admit, growing up, the superhero change up of
Mhm.
Clark Kent to Superman always confused me how nobody ever figured this out, because all he does is really just put on the suit that's underneath his clothes, and somehow the cape never bunches up on his back, and takes off a pair of glasses and instantly Superman. And everyone's like, oh my God, where's Clark Kent? It's like, really? He's pretty much standing right in front of you if you just picked your glasses.
I
And I
know.
think they
Isn't
were
that
making
funny?
fun of that because didn't they, in one of those Superman original movies with Margot Kidder and Chris Reeves, when they were getting together, he puts on the glasses and she's like, oh my God, how did I never notice this?
It, I thought it was the funniest bit. Honestly, when I was so little when that came out, but I remember seeing it because we got stuck in a Houston flood going home. And my dad became Superman, saved the day. I was like, oh, my dad's Superman. But I remember I was transported. I was like, wow, he's a whole new character. But as I got older, I was like, "Huh?" How did that get past me as a kid? What else got past me? Oh, Daryl. Hi, Daryl. Daryl Stanley. Hey, wasn't Bigfoot in the $6 million Man? I don't remember that. Was he? Was it?
I
Oh,
don't remember
good
there
call.
being a Bigfoot in
I
$6
wouldn't be
million dollar
surprised.
in this. There could have been. I mean,
I would
but
not be surprised one
oh,
bit.
I just thought
Oh,
of a
yeah.
movie that didn't make my list that I do believe is the 80s, and it actually has Mark Hamill.
What is it?
Guyver.
What is it?
It's
Guyver?
Guyver. Guyver.
I don't.
It's so what it is
Guyver.
they find this craft buried in the dirt, and he goes and he finds this disc, and it like somehow attaches to him, and whenever he's in trouble he can just Guyver up, and then he turns into an alien suit that's got like blades that comes out of the elbows, and he can just kick everyone's butt, but he never hurts an innocent person. But yeah,
Aw.
and they even show like he would pull the back of the head, and that's how he would return to his normal is the suit
No
is there
way.
was something about the head. And I was like, man, I was like, I wanted to be a Guyver. I was like thinking, how
That's
cool is
awesome.
this?
That's awesome. Hey, Mr. B, I see you. Hi, Terry. Good day, Terry. Good to see you. Oh, I was gushing in my show, Dot and the Kangaroo. You might remember that. That was my childhood obsession. Oops.
Crocodile Dundee was, to me, one of the best Australian movies.
Crocodile. You know who I was a fan of? Did you remember Jacko, the Energizer Man?
Oh yeah.
I used to write him fan letters. I wrote him on my Converse. Like I had a lot of childhood boy obsessions, I think.
Oh, Condensed Reality brought up Legend with the young
Legend.
Tom Cruise.
Oh,
I never
classic.
got into that one.
I remember it, but it wasn't on my list either. But that was kind of a juicy one, wasn't it? That was a little disclosure-y
You
from what I
know,
remember,
I
I think.
think I only watched it maybe once or twice. I never really it wasn't on my replay list. It was like, yeah, I've seen it.
Right? Is that before he got naked with a prostitute? Isn't that
I think
before
so.
Risky Business? Yeah, so maybe that's
Yeah.
why.
But
He was a
the
hit
movie
after
that
that.
had a big effect on me that was sci-fi was Krull.
Oh, yeah.
With the
Good one.
spider scene, I was like, "Oh, man," I freaked out about spiders for the longest time, and I was like, "I am not going to sleep because I do not wanna wake up to a spider above my bed."
Ooh, good call. But that was good for its time. That was
Yeah,
another good one that was good for its time. I know, what didn't I put on my list? We did our 80s.
Flash Gordon, that
Do
was
you
a good
watch
one.
which one?
Flash Gordon, they brought up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, and Terminator messed him up. Oh, yeah, Flash Gordon, 1980, for sure. And then there was a $1 Million Woman too, you're right. I think Flicks Love shared that. $1 Million
Yeah,
Man or $1 Billion Man, was it? Was it $1 Billion Man and $1 Million Woman? I
I think it
I can't
was
remember.
$1 Million Man and Bionic Woman, they called it. They didn't even give her a
Bionic Woman.
price.
Yeah. I loved Bionic Woman. Wonder Woman was my thing though. And it often was back to back. It was Wonder Woman and Hulk. Oh, that was
Oh,
like the
yeah.
best afternoon.
See,
Oof.
and those
Yes.
2, when you see the characters change, they are completely different.
Yes.
It's like it's
That's a
not a,
character change.
"Okay, I'm ready now."
That's it. Oh, here's another one that you liked, scroll. It's $100 Man, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's the $750 Man. Oh, Is
And
it
I
watch it over?
remember
Mhm.
with the $100 Man, they were like the tagline to the whole show was, "We have the money, we have the technology, And it's like, yes,
We
we do.
do. Yes, we
Here it
do.
goes.
Jeez. What is the War Games? Was it War Games
Oh,
with the
war games?
computer
Oh
boy?
yeah.
With a boy? Yeah, that was
Yeah.
intense. I remember feeling intense with that one, like, because that's we were we're having what they were saying we were having problems with Russia and stuff. So I think it was their first big movie on the
Yeah.
war game computer of how this can really happen. That was a little crazy. Hi, Roger Blair. Good to see
And
you too.
the funny
Mhm.
thing about war games too was it was AI, and Matthew Broderick's character was ready to give in and was like, "Nope, I can't do it." And his girlfriend talks him into it and helps him boost his, and he's like, "You're right. I need to do this." And then it's like, "All right."
And then
But
it was yeah. It was a good reminder of military involvement.
it
Just
was, and
everywhere.
also I gotta say, I think it was the first time in a movie where the government calls on someone to save the day and they're like, "I won't do it unless my girlfriend comes with."
The
If you
military would have been like, okay, no problem. Sorry, go ahead.
No, because 'cause I'm like, if you look at all of the movies, it's like you always see the guy was like, "Oh, we'll return him, no worries," and they just take him and go, or they'll just
Hmm.
grab him and go. But this
Hmm.
was the first time somebody actually bargained and said, "I'm not going without her." And they were like, "Okay."
She gets to see everything too, and then they'll finish her off after. They'll throw her in the hybrid program.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Which I see Wolverines in there. Yeah, Red
Hmm.
Dawn. I do prefer the original to the new version.
Of Red Dawn.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember. Oh, that was a good one though. That was a good one. Did I have that before? I had that on our old on when we did the round table, I think. ET though. Did I share that on your show, Michael, my ET story? I think I did on Carol and
No.
James. Oh my gosh. So that's 82. So I was 8 and I saw it in the movie theater. And this is would have been who knows if I had already had these contact experiences because they were definitely in my early teens. But everything was hunky dory. I traveled to the Midwest from Portland with my sister. We were visiting cousins and grandmas and all that. We went to the movie theater, all the cousins, and we're fine. We're movie kids. Like this was nothing. But we're watching ET in the movie theater, and it was the beginning. It was the scene. She throws away the garbage, basically the scene when he's in the woods and they're running towards each other, like through the reeds, and then they run into each other and scream. As soon as they ran into each other and saw each other, I started projectile vomiting all over the place to a full packed house because this was like opening ET at Elmhurst, Illinois. And I was just like, and then I was like sweating and I was like weirded out. They didn't know what to do with me. They called my grandma and they said, we ruined the movie. I ruined the movie. And they went back in and left me on the curb at 8 with puke everywhere. But I had a physical reaction. I felt fine. Nothing was sick. I wasn't eating junk. I was fine. They just happened out of nowhere. Isn't that crazy? I don't know.
That is
I think my
actually
body was remembering something.
that is wild.
It's wild. When I finally saw that movie, I was unconsolable at the end. When he's in all the plastic and everything, I was like a puddle. I don't think I've ever made it through that movie without some sort of physical reaction. So
I know, I
I don't
had to
know.
fast forward.
You had to fast forward? Oh, for that scene? Because it was
Yeah.
harder or you were bored?
It was hard. I was like, I
Yeah.
didn't like that they were. So I've shared this with other people on interviews where we're talking about the not the paranormal side, but the other side. And was like, yeah, as a kid growing up, I would be afraid to get cut or get a bruise or anything that would make me go to the hospital because I was afraid I was going to become an experiment. And so watching ET, I was like, just reinforced why you don't want to go
Yeah.
when you're different to a hospital or anywhere,
Oh.
because the government will totally make you a project. And it's like, no.
I know. No, yeah, right, spot on. And there's a few like that. There's a few when the medical get involved, scientists get involved. I mean, well, we're already talking Hulk and everything that, or the Swamp Thing, that where
Yeah,
the medical gets involved, scientists, and you're like, just let the creature be. They're
I
perfect
know.
as
I
they are.
always was rooting for the creatures.
Ooh, great for
And
the creatures. Yeah, that's why I like
it's
Swamp
like,
Thing too. That was another. Ooh, they're crushing. I thought it was like a love. It is a love story.
it is
And
actually.
they live a great one, and even
Oh, yeah.
RoboCop, Back to the Future, all great ones. I mean, there's so many. RoboCop I was into that one. I was really into that one. I
Yeah,
could
that
and
one.
what's the one with when Schwarzenegger and he's on the moon, he makes that sound. You know what I'm talking about? And
Total
they have the
Recall?
yes. Yes, that was that was pretty epic. I think
Yeah,
we might
Mars
have talked about that.
Corporation.
Yes, that was insane. I thought that was freaky. Gave me goosebumps. That one.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
screaming. I think that happened in our our Hollywood Squares. We talked about that one. Yes, they always put that. They put in no
Oh,
harm
yeah.
animal was harmed during making of this movie. Do you know what's funny? We have a lot of those places around us because we're kind of like up and away from LA, and there's a lot of people that's their job. They groom. They get ready animals for set. They have set animals, all kinds, any you could think of. If you see a pet or an animal on a screen, it's from one of these farms, even a horse, a camel, anything. They're not just taking a zoo animal. They all have to be like ready for set. Isn't that crazy? So they really aren't. Well, yeah, they've been abused. What am I talking about? Because all the
Yeah.
laws came into effect, and anytime there is an animal on set, there is someone from the Humane Society there with their little clipboard. So, yeah, what am I talking about? I've only seen it that way, though. I've never seen it done rough.
Yeah.
Flipper, poor
But
Flipper.
there was actually a TV show that unfortunately doesn't fall in the 80s. It's more the 90s.
Uh huh.
And I think they actually brought it back a little bit, maybe in the 2000s.
Hmm.
But that one actually took me out of space and brought me back to wanting to be here on the earth. And that was Sequest, DSV.
Oh, nice one. Okay. I remember that. I didn't watch it, but I remember that one out there, Sequest. Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's when you're like, okay, what were you interested in underwater? The other space?
Well, it's like it's dealing with everything is underwater. All these people are living underwater and they're like, this is the next frontier and we don't explore. And they're in there exploring and they're finding relics. And there's one episode that I really loved that I think was like the best episode ever. And it was they found this like Alexandria style building underwater and they're getting all the relics out, but another government is trying to get in and steal so they can confiscate and keep it in a private collection. So they crack the structure so it starts to flood with water and they get what they can out and they decide we have to have all the nations represented there getting their pieces. Well, some of the pieces were multicultural, and so they're arguing over it. And Captain Bridger, who's Roy Schneider, goes and grabs one and just breaks it right on the table and goes, "Okay, everybody come and get your piece." And they were like, how could you break that?" He goes, "You all have your piece now. We can come to peace with it now. Everybody has their own piece." And
Moving
they
on.
all were
Yeah.
like, "You can't break that." He goes, "I just did."
Roy
And
Schneider was in it?
they
Okay, I
were
will see that.
like, "All right." and got them all to calm down and go, okay, we can share the art and share everything. And I was like, nobody else, do I think, would have the gumption to pick up and break an artifact in front of nations without going to war.
A piece or a piece. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, that was a good solution. What's not allowed on their flicks? Oh, I see it above. No, I think the SRA ritual ones, that's a different farming. They wouldn't, the Hollywood studio ones, they have to
Um,
adhere to all the laws. They get people on their property any hour, any day, checking in on the humanity of it all. I have one local here, and she's got a lot. She's got raccoons, horses, pigs, dogs, the works. And oh my gosh, just like the crazy cat lady, just a lady surrounded by cats who do their own training too. This woman, like, that's just her livelihood, is protecting animals, and they make really good money on set. So it's not a bad gig to have. But
how
I
do you
think
train
those
a
guys
cat?
are bred for rituals and through somebody else. I don't think, because they wouldn't want to follow the money and find them. How do you train a cat? Is that what you said? How do you
Yeah.
train a crow or a pigeon? Pigeon, yeah. What was I with? Birds, yes, but there was a scene of maybe it was pigeon, some bird. When I did an old commercial. He was like on a 5G freaking tower, the ones that I tried to shoot down. And it was a commercial for that. But then they had the birds purposely flying in and then stopping, and there was different whistles they do and different things. And these freaking little things knew what to do. It was crazy. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
I actually just thought of an 80s movie that turned into a show on TV right up your alley.
Oh, what?
Beastmaster.
Oh, with the blonde dude. There's a blonde dude in
Mark
it, right?
Singer was the
Yeah,
movie,
the guys. Okay.
and he actually makes an appearance in the TV show of it, but he communicated with the animals and could see what the animals saw.
Okay. I would get into that. I got to check that out. I'd love it. You're feeling my fire. I'm one of those moms that, I'm obsessed with sleep. Sleep is my everything, but the whole house gets quiet like 8 or 9. And then if it's a school night, I go to bed. But if not, that's my time. And I watch my shows. Or I get up really early, have my coffee and watch a show. So I have a plethora of lists now. I love it. We'll do a few bit more. Land of the Lost, totally. And then who
Oh,
remembers
yeah.
Caveman? Do you remember old school? Is so funny with Shelley Long, Caveman, and Dennis Quaid, I think, was in it. It's
I
a
don't know if I
comedy.
remember
Oh,
that
it's
one,
so
but I
good.
remember the cartoon of it
Oh, yes. Oh,
with
yes.
the
That was
angels.
excellent. That was an excellent cartoon. But there is a comedy out there called Caveman. I actually screenshot it because I was going to share to see who remembers this. And of course, I don't have anything ready to. Oh, yeah. Clay remembers. Cock-a-doo-doo. No shit. It was so good. You have to see it. You have to see that. Write it down, Michael, for a laugh. It was clever. My sister and I, we were those kids that watched things we weren't supposed to, whether we were with babysitters or unsupervised.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this was, they had some naughty parts in this movie. And it was, of course, a comedy, but there's boobs and all that kind of stuff. But I freaking loved it. I don't know if that much
Well,
disclosures in there, other than the fact that there is questioning within the movie about, like, what is this? Oh, it should be here anyway, and it's berries, or like you could tell they're putting little digs of what
yeah.
really happened in the past. Were dinosaurs there?
I mean, look at Attack of the 50-Foot Woman.
Yep, really
I mean,
good
she
one.
walked around with a loincloth, and everybody was okay with that.
I forgot about that. I'd be like, whoa. Oh my
And you
gosh,
gotta sit
that's
there and
funny.
think at 50 feet, though, looking up, would you actually even see anything? Because you're so far up.
The Sequoia National Forest was up there. I heard it reading that Little Squirrel in Ice Age is a true story. I won't be surprised. I would not be surprised one bit. Oh, someone else remembers Beastmaster. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Nice to see you. Desert Talks in the house. Yes, I
Secret
remember
Squirrel. Now
Beastmaster.
that was a fun cartoon.
The Secret Squirrel or the
Secret Squirrel cartoon.
Sacred Squirrel? Did I miss that
He
one?
was like a
Oh, was
secret
it?
agent, and
Oh, I don't
his
remember
sidekick
that.
is a mole.
Oh, I don't
And they're
remember
like
that.
walking around, and he had to have glasses on because he's a mole because they don't
Okay.
see in daylight.
It's pretty good. It would probably hit me. What about current? So with my kids today, we watch stuff. As far as movies, they do. Someone had it earlier and it went by too quick. But Avatar, it's like a documentary. How
Right.
they were saying it was surprising. Avatar was very haunting for my son. He had reactions to that one, and I was taking note. And it's like not like my reaction with ET, but he did not. It really freaked him out about the military guy going to sleep and then going over here. And then he was
Yeah.
my boy that had the crazy night terrors and all that stuff happen to him as a kid. So I'm just like, I go take it in when you can, if you can.
Yeah.
But he didn't watch the second one. He didn't want to see it again. So I was like wondering how we can unlock that for him. The
The
little
second one
QHHT
was
I
all
did
right.
do. Pardon?
The second one was pretty good, but the
Yeah.
first one, it's hard to top that because there was just so much in it. It's like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So much in it.
Pandora.
Yes. This the tree, and the connecting it and everything, there was a time I could do these things with my kids side by side and then give them my little intel or input. Now my daughter just shoots that shit down. She's like, "No." No one watches with me anymore except my son. He'll pick up on some things.
I have
But
one for you.
uh-huh.
Ender's Game.
Ender's Game. No, it's not ringing a bell.
He
What's the
is
one? Mhm.
recruited to a military program and finds out he's being programmed to lead an attack to save the planet and how they destroyed his childhood and his humanity to create this perfect statistician. I was like, oh my God. That one, I
Hmm.
was like, whoa.
Holy smokes. Well, Daryl knows that one. Yeah, I haven't heard that one. Ender's Game. Well,
It's
when was
got
that one?
Harrison
Is that
Ford
like
in it.
90s? Okay.
That was probably in the 2000s, actually.
2000s.
Maybe the
Okay.
2010s.
Yeah. And
But
Clay, yeah. That sounds good. I'm my list is plentiful. I love it. Clay,
I
I'm the
do,
same. I do not go to either movies anymore really. We'll binge and buy the stream and just own it, or we wait
yeah.
till it's cheap enough on our stream. I can't stand movie theater talkers because I try not to be, but I like to go to the matinee or whenever it's the quietest. So I'm in the same boat.
No, but
Go
here's
ahead.
another one for you with
Yep.
one of the stars from Fast and Furious who may or may not actually be deceased. I will say that with the
Entertainment
initial
purposes only.
PW,
Uh-huh.
but timeline.
Timeline. I knew you knew all of it. I don't know this one. Was
So
he taken out right after this or something?
I
Timeline.
think
Okay.
this was kind of earlier in his career, but his dad figures out how to make copy, and the copy appears in the past, and they call it faxing, where they fax someone to the past and bring them back.
Oh wow.
It
Oh
was like,
wow.
and they used
Daryl knows that.
mirrors to create the time tunnel.
Huh.
I was like, oh, it's like watching that. I was like, oh my God, there's like so much in this movie I missed the first like dozen times I watched this.
That sounds good. I have to catch that one again. Do you know what I really got into? Probably too much for my kids was Incredibles, the first one. Well, all of them, because again, it's people superpowers. It's innate psychic abilities, and these people have these superpowers who work for the government or protect. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All the stuff, all the disclosure in that one was pretty big. They even threw in what looked like some symbolism of Marina Yababa what's her name, Abramovich parties. There, it looked like
Yeah.
there was some symbolism in that one.
I gotta say,
Timeline.
Roger Blair, that cartoon, I totally know that one. I actually,
Thundar, is that the guy, the caveman? Thundar the Barbarian?
he's got the sun sword that puts on his wrist, and he carries the hilt on his wrist, and he rides with Ukla, this alien creature, and a sorceress,
Oh, cool.
princess.
That's like that would be a good one. Thundar the Barbarian. I don't remember that one. And then what did she say?
It,
Vaccine
it,
or
it was
there?
short,
Or the
and
other word.
the whole premise of
Ooh.
Thundar the Barbarian is the moon breaks apart, and so flooding happens all across the planet, and so the world is put into like not even third world status, like back to beyond Stone Age.
Oh,
And
wow.
there's little pockets of humanity around.
Whoa. Oh my gosh. What Flatliners, Julie Roberts.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Another good one. Yeah, and B was loving that too. So how can maybe did I send you a picture of the playbill? My daughter and I went to see I wish I should go grab it. Because now it's wait, Charlie. I have to come up. So it's a movie from an old playwright, old school playwright. Can you grab the playbill really quick of what we just did, what we just saw in Pasadena? It's right over there. Nobody can see. Pardon? Yeah, this one we saw with Maria. The thing about this play is, so they're going through, and you'll hear it and be like, oh yeah, duh. Hello, Heidi. The Skin of Our Teeth by someone who's famous, and I can't remember either. No. The original. Yeah, A Noise Within. Thornton Wilder. There I'm going. But The Skin of Our Teeth. But what was so crazy is they go through, the Ice Age, the Stone Age. They go through these parts of time with the same humans, how they get through each of it. And there's disclosure in that. That's been the Middle Ages. Yep. That's been, and this was written. They did the original script too. They added nothing political, nothing current days. And it was in there. It was in Thornton Wilder's original script. So talk about disclosure in that one. I think when it was over, they had a Q&A with the actors and stuff and the director, and they did an amazing job. But the biggest laugh was, can you believe it? It relates to today, even with alien and technology. Like, it's all thrown in an old script in an old book. Thornton Wilder's
actually, I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check that out. But it did bring into a movie. I haven't actually watched all the way through, but the premise of it sounds just like it, and you may have seen it. It's a John Cleese movie, Time Bandits.
Oh, yes, the best. Yes, I freaking love Time Bandits. Can't believe I didn't have that down. No, that is excellent. You won't believe this. My best friend in the whole wide world, I have two. One of the gals, she just worked with him, John Cleese. He's doing a sizzle reel with her husband, and she got to be an extra with him. So, just thought I'd share that. Cool. Time Bandits. That was awesome. That was kind of scary in a good way. It's like Bill and Ted, pre-Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, right? Yeah. But it was very similar to that. It was exciting. Goonies meets Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. That's what I would say that is. You guys must have seen Time Bandits in the chat. And Spaceballs. Someone said Spaceballs earlier. That was a good
Spaceballs. The funniest scene to me in Spaceballs is where Daphne Zuniga starts singing in the really low bass, and everybody's looking around and going, do we really want to save this woman? That singing voice. And then they're outside and they're shooting and they hit her hair and they go, and she goes, you hit my hair. And then all of a sudden it's like body count exceeding all these movies.
I now want to see that one again. Let's do that one again. Young Frankenstein. Oh my goodness. I'm going to give us a 5-minute wind down here, just a heads up. Throw out some more movies you got there, people. What's on your list that you haven't shared yet, my dear? That you think would
Let's
be
see.
a good one to throw out there.
Actually, I did some TV shows.
Yeah.
I stumbled upon
Uh-huh.
Babylon 5.
Okay. I never got into that one.
I am just now admittedly watching the first season of, like, I think there's 5 or 6, and getting into it because I'm like you, I was like, I somehow missed it and just was like, eh. But
Yep.
now that I'm watching it, I'm like, this is actually kind of interesting.
Right?
But that and Futurama.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. My kids
There
even know
was
Futurama.
Roswell, Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty. Yep. Really good ones.
Roswell, the TV
I never watched
show.
that. Yeah, that was more teen, right? I didn't watch that one. I did not watch Roswell, but that's pretty cool how they're disclosing
Admittedly,
that.
the first version I thought was better, but admittedly, I watched, like, I think it was like season 4 of the CW's remake of it, and I was like, well, this actually is getting kind of interesting now. But it was like, yeah, that one was a hit or miss, the remake of it.
Okay. Yeah, I did not get into that one, but I like that. I like
But
it.
the sci-fi show The Expanse, that was
The Expanse. What? I missed that too. Oh wait, I actually had that on my old list, I think. This is all this list. Oh yeah, I did. I think we chatted for a little bit about that before. Outer Range was a really good one, and that was for TV shows with the wormhole. And The Resort I liked for time travel. Resident Alien, those are good ones. Tell me some more TV ones though. What was with the little girl? Was it Small Wonder? She was like the robot.
Oh
girl.
yeah, I remembered Small Wonder.
Yeah, I liked that one. That was more like,
but
you think, oh, anybody could be a little robot, little clone.
So I'm actually gonna leave cartoons and go to anime for a moment, and you'll find shows like Bleach, which deals with the afterlife.
Ooh.
There's Soul Reapers and Hollows, and it's a real interesting scenario, just how it plays out. I brought it up on the other panel show we did, but Robotech.
So my daughter knows what you're talking about. It's anime.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard that. Yeah, she's heard of that. She's like, what are you talking about?
But Bleach.
Go ahead. What's more? I'm going to write these for her.
Aquarius.
Aquarius is a different one?
Aquarion. Sorry, it's Aquarion.
Okay.
And along with Aquarion is the I think they call them Avas, but I think the full name is like Evangelical or something. Both Aquarion and the Ava is about human pilots operating alien tech to save the planet from creatures that are coming from another planet.
Oh, okay. That's
and
right there.
The toll that it takes on the kids.
Oh. Aw. Yeah, those are both anime too.
Yeah.
And how it affects the kids. Well, this is anime. What about the Adam Project? Because you just reminded me of that. We just watched that the other night. I showed my hubby when he had to go back in time to use himself to navigate his ship because his DNA, he was injured. Do you remember that?
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, that's a Ryan Reynolds too. He's very sweet. I know I've said that already. Keep doing your anime. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I think those were the top animes that I picked up that were like the disclosure
ones.
Like, wow, this is real and we don't realize it, but
yeah. Our Airbender.
Yeah, Avatar Airbender.
Yeah. Those
the
are
Orville.
So cool. Yes. There's
I
so
mean,
many good ones. And that's why they started filling everything with fluff. There's so much reality TV out there right now too, but I watch it too. But
I
there's
don't
so many
know.
choices.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there was one show that came out, and I think it was around 2020, and I think it only had one season, or we stopped watching it because they were going too far with it. Was I believe it was called Brain Dead,
Oh,
and
let me
it
see.
was a lady, and the premise was a lady was in the White House and she noticed like an ant crawled into someone's ear and took over their body, and they started doing things that was out of the ordinary, and they were like, oh my god, these insects are coming off of plants and they're taking over the government and making all the politicians doing stuff they weren't supposed to do, and it got out into the public, and so normal people were starting to be taken over.
This sounds very familiar.
I know. We were like, I can't believe this is on TV. And we were like, I
Wow.
think this is probably why it was short lived.
That was Brain Dead? I think
I think, yeah.
I
Oh,
think
it's 2016. I wrote it down.
okay. You
2016.
wrote wow. A one season wonder. Well, I get that image in my head too. There was a Star Trek movie, Life of Khan, is it maybe, where the
Wrath of
big
Khan.
larva came on
Yep.
into the ear. That was intense. That was I'll always remember that scene. That
Actually,
got
they
me good.
did. If you ever watched The Next Generation, there was a scene where, well, I say scene, it was like, I think 2 or 3 episodes devoted to this of a race had infiltrated Starfleet, and they could tell because they had two like protrusions out of the back of their neck, and that's how they
Oh.
knew they were of the other race. And if you
Oh.
weren't of that race, they tried to force one in you to bring you onto their side.
Oh,
And it
wow.
could only be removed by the death of the person, is what they thought. And then it would leave for a new host, and they were like, no, we got to kill you off. And they finally figured out how to like deneuralize it or something and get it out of people.
Uh-huh.
But
Sounds like
yeah.
some soul jumping though, right? Sounds like
Oh
a
yeah.
soul jump. It's like a entity attachment or something. Yes, that was it, Roger Blair. They did that on Star Trek Wrath of Khan. Okay, I got that one right.
Yep.
My synapse
And
worked for that moment.
it
Mhm.
was the captain of the, oh, what was the ship? But Chekhov was there too because he was not serving on the Enterprise at this time, and he
Okay.
got infected and forced to tell Khan what was going on. The Reliant.
The
It was the
Reliant.
captain of the Reliant, and they took over the Reliant.
Ooh.
See, I know my Star Trek.
Yes, you do. We'll have to do another one just to that then. I gotta catch up with Star Trek.
Yeah.
I think each of these that we shared, I'll probably have to wind down, but there's so much more. I got excited and I'm throwing titles, but I mean, we could spend so much time talking about each of them. But I think these
Oh
are good
yeah.
activators for people. I mean, I really do. I feel like all those movies from the 70s and 80s did something. It unlocked, activated, reminded me, connected me to it somehow. All this stuff, it started normalizing it. So I don't know. There's power in film and TV. I never say burn down Hollywood. I just say burn down the networks, the puppet masters.
Well,
Let some newbies take over.
I think what it was about the 80s, I mean, when you think about the music of the 80s, was they consider it the age of the love music
Mm.
and or hair bands, however you want to
Mm-hmm.
go, whichever route.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
I think when I look at the 80s, what I really think about what was going on in the 80s was
Mm-hmm.
the power of imagination. It was like we were exposed to so many things that we could imagine. Is this possible?
True.
That
Yep.
when it came time for what's coming now, it's like we're like, that seems totally possible. That's
Yes.
that could totally possibly happen. I could imagine that.
Yep.
Where
Or well, like,
today's
yeah.
generation is like, the only thing I can imagine is what you tell me to imagine. They are like programmed what to imagine now.
Yeah. 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 We have yet to see the ramifications of those born into the industry of tech, if they're plugged in utero because their parents are plugged in. Like there's going to be something different with that. Well, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother tangent.
We can do like a
Oh,
part 4 or 5 on that.
yeah. Well, we'll still have to do a follow-up of this, but let's also follow up too with ourselves and what possible. Maybe I thought a good show would be to talk about the new side of entertainment and the new wave of entertainers and programs and options out there for people. Perhaps one on my YouTube channel coming soon. I got to bring back
Actually,
Electric Company.
yeah. I would say there's 2 networks that have caught my attention with movies,
Mhm.
and they're writing actually good movies. They wavered for a little bit with the woke, but they've come back to where they started from. And
Okay.
I think this is
Let me
gonna
take that.
surprise you, Heidi, coming from
Uh-oh, what is
me.
it? Yeah.
The Hallmark movies and
Oh, yeah.
Great American Family movies.
Hey, I mean, I think that's beautiful because they do keep this moral compass of humanity
Yeah,
throughout their content. Yeah,
I
you
mean,
don't see too many yeah. I can see that. I can see that. I think there's good people at the helm there. I just I try to investigate, like my one of my favorite movies, another favorite movie from the past. No disclosure here. Just sheer like my sister and I just rolled around on the ground. We still say lines from this movie, but Better Off Dead, one of my favorite all-time movies. However, freaking Dan Schneider's in it, the Nickelodeon producer who maimed half of the girls in Hollywood, and he's still working today. So if I see a network Hallmark channel, I'm going to do a little dig and just find like, got any like Dan Schneider's there? But it'd be nice to have some new companies come up. I bet Hallmark's
yeah.
kept it pretty cool. I think
Well,
they're
they
like
did
Christian networks or something. Yeah. I mean, it
Hallmark.
doesn't stop them, but go
They
ahead.
they went woke for a little bit, for like a year or 2,
Okay.
and they also started, but I don't think they continued it, was they called it, what was it? Oh, I forget the name they called it, but they had a series where it was all the cast was like 99% one ethnicity, one like skin color,
Uh-huh.
and it was like, really, we don't need another one of these. And so I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
people were like, no, we're done with the inclusion, we want unity. And so they've gone back to bringing casts, and they're and they have everything now. Like, you'll see like
Mhm.
some Hallmark movies where a girl will kiss a girl and that's it, and you're
Yep.
like, that's no big deal. But
Uh-huh.
there was a time when it was like overly like, oh my gosh, going to and we're
They
like, that's
I
too
get it.
much.
That they're trying to fit it in, like after school
Yeah,
special style. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Oh yeah, we got to talk after school specials. Well, that'll have to be the next one. I'm winding down. I've lost my light. And it's school night. It's a school night. I got to start boiling some water. Feeding the
ooh,
kids.
that sounds interesting.
But
Got some
Michael, I
experiments going.
I think it's a noodle night. Let's make it easy on ourselves. This is your general page, right? Michael Kopp, paranormal investigator and
Investigator and
podcaster.com. Yeah.
so
But
funny
name all the
story
shows
is
you do. Yeah, yeah.
that's my website. And what I thought was when I was creating it on GoDaddy, they were asking questions. And so I thought they were asking me, what is this website going to be about? So I
Oh,
put my name and I go, Paranormal Investigator and Podcaster. They go, this is now your domain name. And I was like, no, I didn't want a domain name that long. And they were like, well, you could pay to change it. I was like, nope, forget it. It's done.
it works. Now we know what you do and who you are.
Yeah.
So it works. But you are on often on all your shows. Are you still doing Paranormal Versus?
We are bringing it back. So Kel and Matt got married in July.
Oh yeah.
And so they've been getting themselves situated. And so yeah,
Okay.
we're looking at the end of October restarting, and we're trying to figure out, because they have projects going on too, is how often can we do these episodes?
And you can't, and they're overseas over the pond, aren't they?
They
across
are.
the
They're in
pond.
the UK.
Yeah, yeah. But you're still cranking out yours. You put them all on separate channels though. Like when you air, you're on riding through the unknown, Tetsu. I like saying the little thing, Tetsu.
Yeah,
And then your Michael
I
Kopf
know.
channel. Is that to
Yeah.
get it out more, or are you catering different shows to different channels?
Actually, so it's kind of funny how it works is, like, one network I'm on, they're like, just give us the paranormal, not the disclosure stuff. So
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
okay. So any episodes of the disclosure don't air there. And then I have
Okay.
other networks that are picking me up and they're like, give us everything you've got. And I'm like, are you
Okay.
sure? Because,
Okay.
this gets interesting. And they're like, yep, bring it. I'm like, cool. And so
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
yeah,
You just got on a new network too, didn't you?
I did.
Or
UFO
just
Expo.
Oh, nice. Is that Tom Reed? Hi,
That
Tom Reed.
is.
Tom Reed. He just DM'd me. Hi, Tom Reed. Like coming full circle.
Yeah.
Thanks, Clay. Thank you, Jane. Jane says great show. It was meant a good hangout, a chit chat, and Mr. Mike. Does anyone call you Mike, or is it always Michael?
I've been called Mike, Mikey, Michael.
Mikey, that's Goonies. M to the Kopf man. We'll play again. We're going to play again soon, and it won't take this long. So thanks for getting me back into my rhythm, and thanks for playing with me today. And I want to really thank you guys in the chat. You brought up ones that I totally forgot about. Thank you, Daryl, for being here and for your input, and Blazer from the get-go, Clay, all you all, Roger Blair. Appreciate all you guys. And Jane and Garrel, many blessings to you guys. I'm super thankful to have you. And Michael, I'm sure we're gonna tangent off on multiple things and do this again many, many times. He likes it. Hey, Mikey. Joe Fox is still there.
Yeah.
That was a classic. Yeah, we can get into
The
disclosure
live
commercials.
commercials.
Oh my goodness. We didn't even talk about the Incredible Shrinking Woman. That's my other favorite show as a kid. There's so many shows.
Oh,
So
yeah.
many. I think all of the shows, I think my moral of my story here and why I wanted to do this with you, because I thought you'd be fun to bounce off with this, is I gravitated towards a certain type of TV show and movie, and it had a lot to do with the communities we're involved in, the paranormal, or the multidimensional, and all these kinds of things. And I think
Yeah.
it's really cool. I think there's content out there to support our belief systems and our experiences. So now, are those experiences because I watched the shows, or vice versa, or is it just a coincidence? We will never know. We should
Stay
have a
tuned to
reality show
find
about
out.
that. Stay tuned to find out. So, thank you, Michael, for being here. When's your next show? Is it Monday night?
Tuesday night, actually.
Tuesday night. Tuesday night. Okay. You all know where to find Mr. Michael Kopf. I'll add them all below, actually, in case you don't. But I think I know some of you from, you tag them too. So yeah, thanks for being here, everybody. And stay tight. Hang tight, Mike. 1 second. Michael. And thank you, everybody. And cheers. Have a beautiful Sunday night. And be your best self. Any last words, Michael?
I'd say whatever you're going through, just don't give up hope. There's always hope. And just remember from Dune, fear is the mind killer. Don't let fear keep you from stuff. Just embrace the day. And my motto is if I can wake up, go through the day, and go to sleep feeling content, that was a perfect day. No matter what happened in between. As long as I can go to sleep content and feeling good, it was a perfect day.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That was perfect. Absolutely. Ditto. What he said. Bye, Matthew. Yes, don't feed those fears. You guys be your best self. Matthew, wishing you peace and safety. I hope you guys travel soon. Let's all put our little collective thoughts and let the next blast of stormy weather chill the earth out. It's got to simmer down now. Simmer
I agree.
down
And
now.
I
Seriously.
especially have to say that because Matthew is my guest on Wednesday.
Oh no, yes. He needs to get to safe area, I think. Matthew, please take care of yourself. And if you gotta push with Michael, push. Don't just be safe. Blessings to everyone in its way. Let's do what we do. Come on, everybody. We learned from all our favorite 80s shows what to do. So let's do it. Okay, I'm gonna keep talking. Bye, Michael. See you in a minute. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.